At daybreak on September 17, 1862, the Battle of Antietam began in the Civil War between the states. Known as the Battle of Sharpsburg in northern states and official records, the conflict quickly cascaded that morning into a huge battle, a grand-scale battle, between the Union Army under command of General George B. McClellan and the Confederate Army under command of General Robert E. Lee. By mid-morning the fighting included the fight for Bloody Lane, a sunken stretch of farmland roadway about 1/2 mile north of the small Maryland village of Sharpsburg that was used extensively by local farming families to move their crops from field to market in Hagerstown and many smaller communities and towns in Maryland and Virginia. There was no West Virginia across the Potomac River from Maryland in 1862. Union General McClellan observed the morning battle progress with a clear view from his hilltop headquarters established at the Pry farmhouse, home of the local farm family across Antietam Creek, and with the aid of couriers on horseback delivering copies of orders and battle reports from his field officers in the thick of the fighting across the Antietam Creek. Casualty reports soon came in from morning fighting that included the mortal wounding of Union General Mansfield in fighting for a wooded area near the Mumma family farmhouse and barn. General McClellan wanted to avoid losing the momentum of battle that had been gained in morning fighting by the General Mansfield advance, so he ordered the Ohio, Pennsylvania, and New York regiments to cross the Antietam Creek, advance across the Mumma farm fields, cross the Roulette farm fields, and approach the ridge line ahead, leading to the area of the sunken road between farm fields of the Roulette and Piper farms. These men from New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Indiana were marching into the meat grinder of Civil War history. Confederate General Lee monitored the morning battle events from his headquarters tent set up just below the brow of the ridge in a grove of trees on the western edge of the village of Sharpsburg. Using maps of the area provided by Stonewall Jackson's trusted mapmaker Jed Hotchkiss, General Lee was aware from courier reports that Union troops were advancing toward the northern fields and farms above Sharpsburg. General Lee soon moved his observation point onto the battlefield east of Sharpsburg on Boonesboro Pike. Lee sent couriers with orders to stop this Union advance on Sharpsburg, which would expose his artillery positions east of the village, located on a hill with a commanding view of the battlegrounds. Field officers soon ordered the Confederate Alabama and Georgia regiments to advance over the Piper farm fields and take up defensive positions along the area of the sunken road which ran through the farm fields. The terrain here is rolling hills and valleys, which prevents anyone, friend or foe, from seeing what is going on over the next hill or ridge. These men of the Alabama and the Georgia regiments were, likewise, marching into the meat grinder of Civil War history. No one, Union or Confederate, is aware of what is about to happen at this isolated sunken road through adjoining farms and fields. Union soldiers cannot see what is lying just beyond the brow of that ridge ahead of them. Confederate soldiers who took up positions in the sunken road trench cannot see what is about to appear atop the ridge ahead of them. The stage is set for one of the most tragic and costly fights between North and South at the Battle of Bloody Lane. To understand what these two armies experienced on September 17, 1862, you have to walk these farm fields and roadways at Sharpsburg, Antietam, to experience yourself the difficult terrain and the blindness to what lies ahead. The George Tyler Moore Center for Study of the Civil War at Shepherd University conducted a walking, hiking, and bus tour over 3 days to convey an understanding of the difficulties with terrain, movement, observation, and communication experienced by both Union and Confederate armies during the entire battle. The conflict and bloody battle at Bloody Lane began at late morning on September 17th, with marching soldiers of both armies moving into positions over the fields of the Roulette Farm and the Piper Farm. At midday, smoke and haze filled the air as the roar of muskets with bayonets fixed took their toll. The fight at Bloody Lane lasted about 1 hour, and during that short period about noontime, about 5,000 soldiers became casualties of the conflict and were killed or wounded, Union and Confederate together, at Bloody Lane. Reports following the battle described a battle scene with many Union dead across the fields, and photographs from the time show Confederate dead in heaps and side by side along the sunken road. So dense were the bodies it was not possible to walk among the dead. In the days following the battle, the Union and Confederate dead were buried on the battlefield. The farm fields around Sharpsburg became one massive cemetery. Maps were made of burial sites, and farm families were unable to make use of sections of their land for farming for years after the battle. After the Civil War ended, the government established Antietam National Cemetery in Sharpsburg. Union burials were relocated from the farm fields to the new National Cemetery. Confederate burials were relocated from Sharpsburg farm fields to Hagerstown. Antietam National Cemetery was established in 1866 on the hill east of Sharpsburg, where General Robert E. Lee observed the day's events on September 17, 1862, among his artillery positions established on the high ground overlooking most of the battlefield.